What is up, guys? Oh my goodness, we got some juicy stuff to go over this time around. Oh my God. We're going to be talking about Xbox and them acquiring ZeniMax Media as well as their partner company, Bethesda Softworks. And also, we have an update on the Epic Apple controversies that's been happening. So definitely, you guys definitely don't want to miss this. So without further ado, Platform Gamer Podcast, episode 6 starts right now. All right. So let's first off, let me once again introduce my partner in crime, Desmond Dupes. What's up?
What is going on, baby? Yeah, we got so much crazy, juicy news dealing with this whole Microsoft Bethesda situation. It is bananas.
Oh my God. So let's go ahead and kick things off right now. So Microsoft acquires Bethesda and ZeniMax Media. This has been a huge thing that's been floating around on the news as well as social media across all the platforms. Fans of Microsoft have been buzzing about it. Fans of Bethesda have been buzzing about this. And what does this mean for future titles going forward beyond this point? So before I get into my bits, I'm going to ahead and let Desmond go ahead and get his I'm not going to say 2 cents because it's definitely worth more than that. Go ahead, Desmond.
Dude, wow. Microsoft definitely dropped the bombshell. This came completely out of nowhere. And the interesting thing about it is the timing of when that happened. One day before they do their pre-orders for the Xbox Series X and S, dude, talk about impeccable timing with that thing. Holy Moses. I'm still in shock. Even after like a whole day of this, I'm still in shock over what happened. It was like, man. and this wasn't even like a cheap buy either, man. They straight up double down on Bethesda and ZeniMax and their IPs, and they've got a lot of IPs. Now, what this means basically for the rest of our community of gamers is that pretty much a lot of the games, such as, you know, the Elder Scrolls games, you got Prey, you've got Doom series, all of that, the Fallout series, all of these different ones, all these different IPs, even Dishonored, all of these different IPs that's under that umbrella will be now for the Xbox. So I don't want to say solely just yet. There's still some information that we still need to get figured out. But for the sake of argument right now, in this moment, we'll say they have pretty much everything under their umbrella. This increases Microsoft's studio lineup within their umbrella. So think of it in movie terms. Like Paramount, for example, has, you know, CBS under their umbrella. They have a couple other different channels under that umbrella. Microsoft is doing the exact same thing. And with Bethesda and id Media and, of course, you know, ZeniMax Media, and it's just crazy. The whole thing is crazy. And I feel that Microsoft, this was probably the biggest move in gaming history. I mean, let's just call it what it is. This was literally the biggest, most talked about thing in all gaming history. Dude, this was on CNN. Where do you even see something like that? CNBC on their finance channels was even talking about it. They were speaking with Phil Spencer, who is one of the head honchos over at Microsoft involving Xbox. And they've had him on a couple of different shows now talking about this deal. This deal was $7.5 billion. Dude, what? insane.
Yeah, very, very insane. And when you think about the aspect of how much these companies are worth, I mean, just ZeniMax alone, I believe, is worth 2.5 billion in itself. So this was definitely no small price tag by any stretch of the
Oh
imagination.
God, no.
These are major giants in the game of gaming. And I mean, let's face it, Bethesda has been blowing up a lot with a lot of its mainstream titles, especially revolving around the Elder Scrolls and Fallout.
So this is basically um, all of those that were under the Bethesda umbrella, which is now underneath the entire Microsoft Studios umbrella. You have Bethesda Studios, ID Software, ZeniMax Online, Arcane Studios, Machine Games, Tango Games Works, Alpha Dog Games, Roadhouse Studios. That's a lot. That increases Microsoft's like home base of big, really big, like double and triple A title developers from 15 to 23. That's huge. And the games that you're basically looking at that's going to be under that umbrella, obviously the Elder Scrolls Online, Fallout, Wolfenstein, Doom, Dishonored, The Evil Within, Prey, Rage, Quake, Starfield, which Starfield is a huge game that Microsoft or that Bethesda has really been really trying to market this thing almost like an Elder Scrolls. I mean, this is a huge game. The last time we even seen anything involving this from you and me was at when we went to E3 back in 2018. They talked about it, and it's going to be coming out, and it's going to be under the Xbox umbrella, and we could be seeing this for primarily, at least in some of the older games for now. You're going to be seeing those on Xbox Game Pass. Dude, if you're an Xbox owner, you should be like doing backflips right now. This is huge.
Yeah, absolutely huge. And like you said, the timing of when they locked this in, it's like this is going to definitely increase Microsoft's stock when it comes to games and also for the Game Pass itself. This is definitely going to generate a lot more people coming in to the Xbox family. For those people who are hardcore Sony fans for life, you know, this is definitely going to change the playing field as far as for that. I mean, right now there are a lot of great titles for Sony, but going forward, there's no telling how these things are going to play out as far as for that. But oh my God. That Xbox dropped it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They was like mic drop. So though there's a couple of key things that we want to keep in mind here. Number one, and I think this is a really good thing. I really appreciate them doing this. There are 2,300 employees that work under Bethesda's ecosystem in their umbrella. Thankfully, every single last one of those employees will still be employed. So that's good. They're going to stay where they are. They're going to continue to make games and do productions and things like that, whatever they do behind the scenes. They will be able to keep their jobs. So that's number one. That's great. That's awesome. I'm glad they did that and they didn't have to, pull what Disney did with Fox and then let go a crap ton of people. But that's for another story. The other huge thing, that's a lot of positives. The negative on this is that if you're a Sony fan, you're going to be super disappointed because a lot of the titles that I just mentioned earlier will end up being on Xbox only exclusives, which means it'll be on Xbox Game Pass, xCloud. It'll be coming out on physical media discs or anything like that. The digital versions, if you want to buy those off the Xbox store. I mean, you're looking at these games potentially only being on there. Now, they did say in an article that they are going to honor whatever agreements that Bethesda already had in line. So Deathloop which is supposed to be coming out for both Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5, they will continue to bring that game out for those consoles. There may be one, maybe two other ones. My main concern is Elder Scrolls, because you got to think Bethesda's working on Elder Scrolls 6 right now. Are we going to see it on PlayStation at all, or is it going to be exclusively on Xbox? Either way, if you're a PlayStation owner, you're thinking in the back of your mind, man, I'm gonna have to get an Xbox now, or be a part of that Xbox ecosystem. And just think, within just a couple of months, the Xbox Game Pass went from 10 million subscribers to 15 million subscribers in just a matter of months. So with this news right here, they've got to have gained at least another 5-6 million after that. They're really doubling down on Xbox Game Pass and really bringing in these top level developers to be a part of the Xbox ecosystem to really challenge Sony. As a gamer, this is absolutely freaking fantastic. So this is something that I'm really looking forward to. I was originally going to wait and get my Xbox Series X like a little bit later down the line, but after this news, man, I don't know. I'm gonna have to jump on the bandwagon a little bit sooner than expected.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the fact that it was also stated that before Microsoft even made this buyout, Sony was already in talks of bringing Starfield exclusively to the PS5. Mm-hmm. So, as Desmond had stated earlier, they do intend on honoring that. So, no worries, Sony fans, we are going to get Starfield. So don't worry about that. Okay. And also the other titles Desmond mentioned, games like Deathloop and also Ghostwire Tokyo. Yes. Those games will also be still exclusive on the PS5. So no worries as far as for that. That's the reason why you are still seeing advertisements and commercials for those particular game titles. Yep. Now, also, and just to also say that with what Phil Spencer had stated, that when it comes to the Bethesda titles such as Starfield, like he said, it will be available for the Xbox, the PC, and the Game Pass. Now, as far as for any other projects going forward, he did say that when it comes to other consoles, those will be done on a case-by-case basis, i.e. the Nintendo Switch, as well as the Google Stadia.
Okay, so there's some things to really take in with that. Number one, if it's going to be a case-by-case basis, Microsoft, with a lot of the heavy hitters, they could be nice and let Bethesda be like, okay, we'll let you guys put out the Elder Scrolls for different consoles, like Stadia, or you could, put it on PlayStation. They could be greedy. They could be like, you know what? This is such a huge, momentous title. I think we'll just keep that for ourselves. But it just really depends on how Microsoft is going to play this thing. And with it being case by case, Doom, I can honestly see just being on Xbox. I can see that. I could totally see that. So basically, with Doom Eternal could possibly be the last game we'll see on PlayStation. This is crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. There was some other things that was also mentioned as far as for that. I know Howard was also speaking on the fact of the development cycle when it comes to Bethesda, and he clearly stated that Starfield pretty much broke Bethesda's development cycle when it came to working on Elder Scrolls and Fallout, because I was kind of like the combination: work on Elder Scrolls, then a Fallout, then another Elder Scrolls, and then another Fallout. Mm-hmm. But this time, now that you have Starfield in it, and keep in mind, they've been wanting to make Starfield for quite a long time now. I believe probably as far back as 2011, if I recall. Now, the thing about it is, now that because of the fact that this was a game that they've been wanting to make for a long time, and now they finally have the platform and the power to do it, they did state that Elder Scrolls 6 will be put on the back burner for now so that they can focus solely on on Starfield. Not to mention the fact, because of the fact that Elder Scrolls Online is doing so well, there's not really a whole lot of rush to work on Elder Scrolls 6. So that's some other information to take in consideration as per Howard.
You know how this looks, especially like for Bethesda, because this is a really good thing, because now with them being under Microsoft's umbrella and also having that funding that's behind Microsoft, because they're worth uber billions. You know, think about this as a consumer, as a gamer. Look at this as, okay, you've bought different Elder Scrolls games, you've bought different Fallout games. What is the most common thing you see out of both of those? How buggy they are, right? They get extremely buggy at certain times. With them now under Microsoft's umbrella, and that huge support system that they'll be able to eliminate a lot of those bugs. They may even, I mean, look what Microsoft just did. They just freaking delayed Halo Infinite until next year because they wanted to get a bunch of stuff worked out. So you look at it from, we're going to get less, it's going to be less buggy, because with their power behind them, with Microsoft's power behind Bethesda, you're going to look at this is a huge thing. This is a huge thing, and it'll cut down on a lot of that, cut down on a lot of patches, updates, things like that, that quite frankly, you really don't need a lot of, but you do get them in those games, especially in Fallout, because Fallout gets really buggy, really bad sometimes. Like the whole situation with Fallout 76, that thing was a mess. But I believe since all of those updates happened, it got better. And think if you could cut that situation in half or less, now that you have the support of Microsoft backing your every move with these games, that kind of help. Hey, we can help out with these bug issues. Let's work together on this, and then really bring out a high quality product game that runs smooth, very little to no bugginess. I mean, this is great news, super great news.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And plus, there's another thing which was mentioned by Todd Howard of Bethesda, is the fact that this was actually a really good move, and that they feel like this is definitely going to be very beneficial to the team of Bethesda, because of the fact that they have had a relationship with Microsoft for many years now. And because of the fact that they pretty much, the primary reason why they also jumped on board with Microsoft is because of the fact that Microsoft pretty much shares the same vision, the same future of what Bethesda is trying to do also. They don't want to just simply create one game for one platform. Mm-hmm. So now they're thinking beyond that nowadays. So now when they think of making a game, they're like, okay, how many games can we reach by this new vision with the Xbox Game Pass and everything else? Now there's no worries about limits on the screen or the device. Now they can reach people who didn't have access to certain things nowadays. So now, because of the fact that they have all these different options, now they can bring their games to many other platforms, which can also reach out to other gamers. So this is another reason why Bethesda was very excited about this particular decision. And now I'm pretty sure they're going to have incredible projects that they're going to have in the works. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what they decide to come out with as far as other than Elder Scrolls 6. They're definitely going to have some cool stuff going.
Yeah, and it's very interesting, this whole situation, because if Microsoft really, I mean, this deal obviously was in the works and it had been done for months. If it hadn't have been for that leak on their price reveal and stuff, and that'd have been one huge thing. This would have been the second huge thing that probably would have took them over the top. So from that perspective, they got shafted on that first thing, but then this is how they rebounded, and they rebounded very, very well. But this was just the one thing that they've done. Can you imagine what they'll have next? I mean, they've literally, like, no pun intended, changed the game in this console situation. This isn't a console war, because console wars to me are freaking dead and buried. It's just a matter of whatever your preference is and what you like, you'll get that. You know, that's what you want, go get it. You want an Xbox and a PlayStation, get them both. Either way, you're going to get great exclusive titles for both consoles. And if you want to get Nintendo into it, have at it. So the whole console war to me is dead. And we're all basically one huge community now. But this does play a very interesting, or does ask a very interesting question. What is Sony's rebuttal to this announcement? Sony's got to come up with something up their sleeve to be like, how are they going to counter this thing? I mean, this was huge. I mean, they may be trying to acquire somebody. Can you imagine if Microsoft, let's just pretend, okay, we'll just pretend here. Bethesda was the first major thing. What if they got something like Rockstar Games? Can you imagine that? If they got a hold of Rockstar, you're looking at Red Dead Redemption. You're looking at the Grand Theft Auto series. You know, those are two major IPs that could potentially be under Microsoft's, you know, umbrella. And if they were willing to spend, you know, $7.5 billion on Bethesda, who knows how much they'll spend on Rockstar, you know, but that's just pretend. We don't know if that will actually happen or not, but I'm just throwing that out there. If a situation like that happens, that's just nuts. This whole thing is nuts. They literally like changed the entire landscape of the gaming industry, and just completely flipped it upside down because this caught wind fast.
Yeah, it seriously did. And then it's kind of I mean, PlayStation, because of the type of titles that it has and things of that nature, and just the diehard fans, PlayStation is still going to have a nice, I guess you could say, they're still going to have a nice rebound when it comes to fans and subscribers and things of that nature.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But definitely the two things that's hitting PlayStation the hardest right now is the simple fact of, number one, the backwards compatibility. The PS5 versus the Xbox Series X. You've got full backwards compatibility with Microsoft, but yet you can only do PS4 games. You can't do 3, you can't do 2. That's a major hit.
And what was interesting about that, and that's a very good point you brought up, because that gave me a chance to kind of explain that. So the reason why the PlayStation 1, 2, and 3 games are not compatible with the PlayStation 5, because they were working on it. They had planned on doing it, but because of, number one, it was a timing schedule thing. So I don't know what that, I don't really believe in that situation, but that was one of them. Number two, which is a bit more plausible, is that the technology that was used in the first couple of iterations of the PlayStation, like the 1, 2, and 3, were a bit more compatible with each other. But when they went over to the 4, everything changed. So the type of technology that was used in the 4 is more compatible with the 5 than it was the 1, 2, and 3. So from that aspect, I can kind of see why that didn't happen. That doesn't mean it's still not going to come later. You know, they may come out with another version of the PlayStation 5 that will be backwards compatible because they'll have time, possibly in their second or third generation consoles. We don't know that. But it was discussed and it was talked about. Frankly, I'm okay with them not doing it. It'd be nice. It'd be a really nice addition, but we have to keep moving forward. I know people have like a lot of games on their other consoles and stuff, or even if they just had digital versions of them, you'll still be able to do a lot of the digital versions, especially if you had like PlayStation Now, you'll still be able to do those kinds of things. But within like physical media and certain situations, they just can't do it right now. It's just not within their means of needing to do it right away. Again, it's something that they'll look at later on, I'm sure, because they were already talking about it. They were trying to get a patent to get that done. But I think in this situation, as long as we have titles that we can still play on from our current consoles that we own right now, that we can still play on the PlayStation 5, whether it's all your PS4 games or your PSVR games, you're still going to be able to do those, whether you do disc or digital. So in that sense, we should be okay. It's not burning too many bridges with that one. I'm not too concerned about it. But again, it just be a nice feature, but it is what it is. We don't got it. Oh well.
That is true. That is true. Yes, yes, absolutely. And I think as far as at the end of the day, with Bethesda joining the team at Microsoft, we're definitely going to be seeing some really, really cool, wonderful projects that's going to come out of that. I think right now, I'd say right now, the biggest issue that both Microsoft and Sony are having right now is trying to figure out how to fine tune this cross-platform gaming that both have been trying to talk about. Because for what has been last reported, both are having issues with trying to figure out a way of making this work. So I am curious to see what they intend on doing as far as solving this particular solution. Because let's face it, cross-platform, that will be just the ultimate merger. I think that will be definitely the biggest evolution when it comes to gaming, to be able to play games with people on a whole different machine. That's going to be wild. That's going to be wild. Not to mention the fact, you think about the competitiveness of the playing field when it comes to multiplayer online games. Think of Call of Duty. Now, instead of just playing against players from just within the Sony realm, now you're going to be going against players from Microsoft as well. So now it's literally you against the world at that point. So I'm definitely going to be looking forward to seeing what they do as far as this. But this particular business move was very smart on Microsoft's part. And obviously, it seems this was something that was very much, I guess you could say, this was something that Bethesda obviously was kind of gearing for the most part. I mean, Morrowind is still by far one of Microsoft's most iconic games. It's one of the best ones that they've released. So.
This is crazy. What do you guys think of this story? Do you think this is you think this was a really smart move by Microsoft, or do you think it should be, I don't really like it. It's not for me. You guys let us know in the comments section and tell us your thoughts on it, or how you feel about the situation in general. So, this is wild. One thing I do want to add for the cross-gen situation, which is funny, because I'm actually glad they're looking at that, because if you go back from what I remember, the first cross-gen platform game that I remember was the first Final Fantasy Online. Remember that for the PlayStation 2? So you had to like put in a whole new like little hard drive thing in there or whatever. But because that one you could play with PC gamers that also had the game. So that was kind of interesting. But just a little fun fact I wanted to throw out there. But so what's the next story?
All right. So the next thing coming up, Epic Games and Apple. What is the latest? What's been happening? Who's been talking? Oh my God. Let me just say, based on everything that's been reported, I mean, they've been going back and forth. They've been doing their business in some of the California courts. And I swear, by reading the transcripts of what's been taking place, to me, it's basically two kids on a playground, pretty much talking smack to each other. That's what it's coming across. That is what it's coming across. These guys are completely throwing jabs in every which way and just trying to land a punch. And right now, I mean, there's been all kinds of different things getting thrown back and forth, but we're definitely going to dive deeper into that. But Des, I'd like to get your opinion of what you think has been developing as far as that ever since it was first announced that they were going to be having these issues.
Okay, so my whole thing with this is, ever since that restraining order that Epic Games put on Apple to make sure that, they didn't try and cut a lot of the things off that they were still working on. It's like they can keep going with production, because remember, Apple took Fortnite off there, and this all started with Fortnite. It all started with Fortnite. So they had them pulled from all of their Apple stores. And, it's like, because of breach of contract. Epic Games breached contract. and they weren't supposed to do that. Now, the official hearing still doesn't start for another few days. I think it's I believe, if I remember correctly, the 28th is when it's supposed to be the first. We'll start getting hearings of that. But from what I gathered so far, is that there's still a lot of back and forth. I mean, right now there's like a whole timeline and involving this whole situation. So it's just a matter of how it's going to play out, who's going to do what. Now, Epic Games got even more of their lawyers involved as far as the situation with them. And now they're, like you said, they're throwing jabs back at Apple. And they use the term cherry picking. It's like they're messing with us like that. And it's, just like they're gonna throw some shade at each other. This is an incredibly crazy situation still. It's still going on. As far as we know, none of the other developers have left using those development kits from Epic Games. As far as the Unreal Engines 4 and 5, they're still in use right now, or I should say 4 is in use right now, and 5 is still planning. It's still, as far as we know, the Unreal Engine 5 is still planning on coming out. But we do know that other developers have been looking at other companies who are also working on new development engines, or like new engines to be used for developers, such as Crytek. They got the new Cryo engine that they're working on, which I do believe is supposed to also come out sometime next year. And then what was it? The Hanzo engine?
Hazel
engine, yes. The Hazel engine is being worked on. So there's going to be, so even if Epic Games or these other developers lost faith in Epic Games as far as this situation goes, especially with the whole breach of contract and everything, they will have other options. The only problem is those other options won't be available until next year, and they don't even have those kits yet right now. So they won't know how to, you still got to look at that and how they're going to be able to work around figuring that the development kit out. So you're still looking at possibly a whole nother year on top of that, just learning those other ones. So this whole thing with Apple and Epic, they're gonna eventually come to terms with something. Either somebody's gonna settle, or this thing's gonna drag on for a couple more months. At most, you're looking at the latest probably March of next year. But you got to think of too, with these hearings, COVID is still in effect right now, and some of them may get postponed. Because somebody may show up in court with the virus. Anything can happen at this point. So yeah. I'm very curious on what is happening, but this was just a small update. So it's not really like a huge update, but we wanted to make sure that you guys were informed on what was going on with that situation, because it does affect all your Fortnite playing. It does affect other developing customers that uses these development kits. These are things that really are playing a factor within this whole situation within this court legal battle.
Yes, absolutely. And just to kind of add a little bit of extra depth as far as this particular story, it was because I know it's been mentioned a lot about the agreements and the policies that Epic Games has been violating. So now, just to give you guys a little bit more information as far as what that actually entailed, it was reported by Dalvin Brown of USA Today, stating that Apple removed the Fortnite app in August after the gaming company violated Apple's rules of introducing a direct payment option into the game without Apple's approval. That payment system would have competed with Apple's in-app purchase system, which the iPhone giant requires all apps to use. Typically, when players on the iOS devices make in-app purchases, Apple gets a 30% cut of those sales. Fortnite's direct payment functionality undermined that structure. So that's a little bit more detail as far as for why all this has started and why Apple is jumping down the throat of Epic Games as far as for that. Now, there's some other information that's been stated as far as that's been reported. Let's see if I can bring this up here. So it says that basically Epic Games has slammed Apple's report on Friday, accusing the iPhone giant of, as Desmond stated earlier, what they stated, cherry picking data to mislead the courts. Okay, Apple's papers contained a number of half-truths and outright falsities intended to paint Epic as a bad actor. The video game company said Epic Games claims Apple chose to include misleading Google inquiry data when the number of daily Fortnite players has actually grown by 39%. Epic seeks one thing only, is to offer consumers an alternative payment processing service that allows consumers choice and lower prices while this litigation proceeds without retaliation, the gaming company had stated. So there's been a lot of stuff that's been going on as far as what's been reported as far as for that. Apple's been blamed. Apple blamed Epic Games for the App Store stalemate, saying that gaming company is holding its customers hostage just to gain leverage in a business dispute. So there's been a lot of stuff there's a lot of jabs getting thrown back and forth from Apple to Epic Games. So this is definitely a complete 180 as opposed to what was reported from Apple in the last recent when all this was taking place, stating that they definitely hope to revitalize the partnership with Epic Games because they understand how important this is, and they definitely want to continue that business partnership. But by the way things are looking right now, I don't know. That bridge is slowly burning, and there's no workers around to repair it. So I'm not exactly sure. I'm not exactly sure.
There's nobody there to put out the file.
Yeah, exactly.
So now, some of you have probably already have had this happen, but for those of you that don't know yet, through the timeline, it says as of September 9th, it says here that Epic Games announced that Apple will no longer allow users to sign into Epic Games account using sign in with Apple as soon as September 11th. So some of you have probably already felt the sting of that. So that's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. But this is still a developing story. I'm sure we'll know more once these proceedings get going. We'll probably do another update probably well into October, because I'm sure by then we'll have enough information that we can kind of see where this is going to be leading. But for now, this was kind of just a little bit of what we have for you guys as far as that goes. But again, what do you guys think of this situation? How do you feel about this situation? Please make sure you comment below here on the podcast and on YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Damar, did you have anything else?
No, that's pretty much it as far as for that, man. Definitely some juicy stuff that's happening. There's definitely a lot of pluses, a lot of minuses that's happening across the gaming field. I mean, there's definitely going to be a lot of changes. 2021 is definitely going to be a very unique year for us gamers. So
as long as it's better than 2020.
Oh God, yeah. I think we can all agree that 2020 cannot end fast enough.
Right.
It cannot end fast enough. I'm sure for some of you guys, more than likely, the only thing that's been able to make your 2020 was the fact that you successfully got your PS5 pre-orders. That's probably about as far as it goes.
And even that's taking some hits right now, because it's been reported that that some of the retailer chains have actually canceled some of the pre-orders. That's something we can probably look into at another episode, but there's still, some information still coming out on that. But this whole thing is crazy. This whole thing is crazy.
My goodness. So yeah, like like Desmond said, definitely leave us a comment. What do you guys think? What direction do you think these are going to go in as far as for Apple and Epic Games? Tell us what your thoughts are when it comes to this new buyout that Microsoft did with ZeniMax Media and Bethesda Softworks. We definitely want to hear what you guys have to say. It's definitely important. And I think this is definitely something that we as a gaming community should be discussing, because this is our future entertainment, and we don't just go out and these aren't just buying games. We have to look at ourselves as almost like miniature investors, because we've been investing in these companies for decades.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's definitely something that we should definitely discuss amongst ourselves, as far as what we think the future of gaming is going to look like, what the landscape of things is, like I said, with the cross-platform play and everything else. So I don't know, will this cross-platform bring us all closer together, or will this cause an even greater bridge?
God, I hope not. I hope it brings us together more. I think it'll be interesting. I think it'll be really fun. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us on the podcast today. We got in a good 40 minutes or so. So that's not bad. That's pretty good. Yeah. Make sure, if you liked what you seen here and heard here on this channel, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, turn on that bell for all notifications, and smash that like button. And like we said earlier, make sure you leave us a comment. You can also check up on any updates or anything that we post on our Facebook channel at Platform Gamer Podcast. And you can also check us out on our other following platforms, so you can follow us and keep track of everything. I've been tweeting and doing some things here back and forth on some information that's been dropped. But you can reach us on Twitter and Instagram at Platform Gamer P1. And if you want audio versions, which this one will go up probably sometime later tonight, I can do it, or he can do it, or whatever. But the audio versions will be available on Spotify and on Podbean sometime either later on tonight or tomorrow. But anyway, thank you guys so much for joining us. Damar, any last things before we send it on home? Because I got to get to my second job soon.
No, that's literally it. Like Desmond said, thank you guys so much for taking the time to take a listen to this podcast. We definitely look forward to bringing you guys more updated information on some of the latest and greatest news that's happening and the rumors that's been floating around on social media when it comes to gaming. So definitely, you guys take care. We love you guys, and game hard. We'll see you guys next time.
Peace.